week going to be like for you preparing for your first preseason training camp? What do you have to do? What do you want to get done this week?
Well, pretty much most of the preparation has already been done. We've been working on it since the day we got the job. What helps is, you have a model of that you've used for the last however many years, and you adapt that model and you make some tweaks, and you're constantly trying to kind of grow and evolve, but you have a model, so that's helpful. Obviously there's some rules with the NCAA too of when you can start, so a lot of things are figured out for you. But we feel pretty good to go. There's not a whole lot left for us to do. It's just kind of cleaning up a few things, having some discussions as a staff, getting the final pieces of the puzzle put together and roll. But really the preparations, in battle, it's behind us.
You were talking in there about having a lot of young guys and needing to create depth quickly. What do you find to be the best ways to get new players acclimated quickly?
Well, I think it's like people talk about, well, how do you teach guys how to win? By winning. How do you create depth? By playing the guys. And I think that's the hard part is you kind of have a plan, and everybody says that you should play to create depth, but then we take the best players off the field, and the fans are saying, well, how come those guys aren't on the field? I mean, it's critical. Well, you got to find a time to do it, and if you're not careful as a coach, you become cautious, and you play not to lose rather than playing to win. And playing to win isn't necessarily about your starters playing 80 reps. It's what's going to be in the best interest of the program for 4 quarters, what's going to be the best interest of the program for the season, and what's going to be in the best interest of the program for the long haul. And you got to constantly be doing that. So we'll have plans going into each season and each game of our starter is going to play this many reps, the backup's going to play this many reps, and at the end of the game, it's going to need to be that way. And I'm pretty aggressive in pushing our guys to make sure that happens.
There's competition for a lot of spots, but the running back spot in particular, what are you going to be looking for, especially from Zach and Belton as camp goes on? What are some criteria you use to pick a starter?
Well, to be honest with you, I think at the running back position, I don't think who the starter is really matters. I mean, if you look at major college football, the NFL, you're going to play 3 running backs. And they're going to rotate in, and you're going to keep them fresh, and then you're going to go with the hot hand. So, whether that's a freshman or whether that's one of the seniors that you mentioned, great. But we're going to play 3 guys and keep them fresh and keep them healthy. So I'm not as focused on who's starting, especially at that position, if that makes sense.
James, do you think the leadership on this team has emerged already, or is that a little emerged during preseason?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got a pretty good foundation. We got guys that have really stepped up into those roles, but we're going to need to continue developing that through camp. You can never have enough leadership, and a lot of people, when you think about leadership, you're thinking about on the field, but it's more than that. It's in the classroom, it's on campus, it's in the community. It's having leaders in your freshman class, your sophomore class, juniors and seniors, because if it's all senior-led, what's going to happen on Saturday when the seniors are one place and the freshmen are somewhere else? You better have leadership throughout your program that's willing to speak up and say what's right, and that's very important. It's important in the locker room that it's not just over in this section, that there's leadership throughout. So we're constantly trying to develop leadership in our program.
Who are some of the guys who have emerged already?
Well, I think, Hackenberg obviously has got everybody's attention. Diefenbach is a guy that I think everybody respects, not only because of the way he plays, but how he's conducted himself for 5 years. On defense, Mike Hull, he doesn't say a whole lot, but when he does, people listen. It might have something to do with the fact that he benched 225 over 30 times the other day at Lift for Life. But that's important, and he's done a nice job. You look at Fickett on special teams. I think he's a guy that you look at all that he's been through, the highs, the lows. He's kind of been there, done that. He's seen it all, and I think he's a tremendous resource for all of our players, guys that have just started. I mean, he's handled it extremely well and had a really confident, strong spring. So they're the guys that have stepped up for us so far.